Speedrunning is a skill that takes thousands of hours to master. Top speedrunners dedicate their time to learning the ins and outs on a single game, performing frame-perfect inputs to become the fastest. Becoming a world record holder for a game is not an easy feat. Speedrunners are breaking records every day, and the skill gap between top runners and the average player is bigger than it's ever been.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Unfortunately for me, I am below the average player. That's why for me to get a world record, I would have to run a game almost no one has played. I scrolled through speedrun.com until I found the perfect game for me. Garfield Lasagna Party is a Mario Party clone featuring Garfield and friends, where you take turns rolling dice and then compete in mini-games for lasagna. The game is not great, it's rather slow, and is missing more modern features such as online play. Fans were upset about this, and most of the positive reception the game received was only due to the memification of Garfield. Fans were left disappointed, and Garfield Lasagna Party was quickly forgotten. But that was perfect for me. Almost no one was playing this game. There had been 4 runners, and 2 of the categories had 0 runs. I figured to make this a real challenge, I would have to get the world record in all 4 categories. And with a few runners, you may think it'd be easy, but that was not true. I've done speedruns before, and I know that if you want to have a good time, you gotta optimize your route as much as possible. The only way for me to do that in this game is through getting short minigames. Most are time-based, 1 minute long, but some can be completed if a task is finished or by getting knocked out. However, some of them can take longer than 2 minutes, so getting a fast minigame is going to be completely reliant on good RNG. Get a bad minigame, and a run is dead. I decided to start with the shortest run, only 10 rounds. The short length current world record is 31 minutes and 30 seconds by Susboy BTW. So that was my current goal to beat. A turn starts by rolling a die that is labeled 3 to 7. When a character rolls a die, other players can use an item to debuff their roll, or they can use an item to re-roll their die. Re-rolling will take longer, so that's a bad type of RNG that we want to avoid. This game requires a tremendous amount of mashing. The continue button in this game is A, which is required for almost every action for a turn, and pressing it would make certain actions go faster. So, my gameplay sounds mostly like this. Now that you're familiar with the game, let's start the first speedrun. I rolled a 4, but got stopped on the roulette wheel. Normal used a banana to give Arlene an optimal roll of 2. Normal rolled a 6, landing on a dog which sent him back 2 spaces, and Odie rolled a 4, landing him on a coin space which ended pretty quick. This round's minigame was Good Boy, a minigame with no timer, so it lasts either more or less than 60 seconds depending on your bot's reaction time. My bots were set to easy to try to prevent the usage of items, but also so they would perform poorly in minigames, in hopes of faster times. Round 1 ended and we fly through our turns, getting us to the next minigame, Forbidden Invasion. This game is based solely on the timer, so there's no way to speed it up. Round 2 ended with me in the lead, and I had the first experience with the market. This is the only space you don't want to be mashing on. If you press A, you could buy items, or worse, be unable to pay. That'll stun your character, and you'll be unable to close the menu for a brief time. This isn't the worst, but it could be a time loss if you're not paying attention. Our lead rolled a 4 and decided to re-roll for a 3. Wow, great job. Normal and Odie ended their turn quickly to get to the next minigame, Aspiring Artist. This is a minigame where all the users must finish for it to end. So as long as you finish before the last bot, there's not a time loss. We ended round 3 just shy of 10 minutes. If we kept this pace up, we would end round 10 in 33 minutes, way behind world record pace. But round 4's minigame was just what we needed, Dog Panic, the first minigame we can make faster using our 3-step program. Step 1, put the controller down. Step 2, don't touch it. Step 3, lose. Implementing this strategy will save us so much time in the long run. We just have to know when to use it. Feeling confident, we went into the next minigame, Roll the Ball. This minigame has a timer, but if you pick up all the snow off the ground, it'll end early. Round 6, I land on the starting square, which is one of the fastest. And all of the bots ended their turns pretty quick, so we ended up doing Snowball Fight. This one was solely time-based, so I just had fun. Get fucked! Moving on to round 7, we were on a good pace and I was hoping to keep it, but everyone kept rolling high numbers, With a minor setback, we move to the next minigame, Super Cat, the first round-based minigame. This one's 5 rounds, where you can only have one player standing for it to move on to the next round. So if you get out too soon, the bots will run around to get each other out. Depending on how good they are at that moment, this could take 3 seconds, or it could take 30, depending on how much they want to run around. Thankfully, these rounds didn't go on too long, and we moved on to round 8 only slightly behind the world record pace. I made sure to mash B while going over the market this time, and everyone else landed on a coin space, ending their turns pretty quick. We then got to one of my favorite minigames, Catch It. Wait. Now! After doing that 2 more times, we finished the minigame and went on to the next round. Blitzing through round 9, we did the minigame Layer Up, a memorization game where you have to find the right ingredients. I struggled to say the least, and only finished 5 seconds faster than I could have. Moving into the final round, things were looking good. Based on my previous round times, I might just take it. I mashed harder than I ever have before to keep the game moving quick, and we landed on some good spaces to keep on pace. It's the last minigame, and it's time to eat. I finished the last minigame, and that's it. Result page pops up, and the timer stops. 30:44. The new world record. Now, yes, this is a world record, but was I happy with it? No. Run it back. Speeding through round 1, we got Dog Dodge, a minigame with lives. I got hit 3 times, and it was over. For round 2, we moved on to Spring Cleaning, a time-based minigame, so I tried to cause chaos. Round 3, Frozen Treat, another time-based one. No added time so far. We were looking great. Hell, I got an achievement. Round 4 was uneventful, Arlene turned her 4 into a 3 again, and everyone else ended pretty quick. The minigame was revealed, and it was time to do my 3-step program. We were on a roll. Blasting through the rounds, I felt pretty confident. All I had to do was press the A button, over and over. Not paying attention. I was only mashing. I made a crucial error. I forgot to hit B on the market. Unfortunately, this mistake cost me 18 seconds, but I tried to keep moving forward in hopes of making it up later. Not wanting to play the game after what just happened, I spent the whole next minigame standing still. I was done with this run. But round 6's minigame was just what I needed, Dangerous Descent. All I had to do was crash, and it was over. Couldn't have been easier. Back on crazy pace, we rushed through round 7 and got another minigame that we could end early. I beat the minigame with 23 seconds to spare, saving myself a pretty big amount of time. I got through round 8, and for the minigame, nothing too crazy happened. It was round 9, and I had to pull a question mark card. I ended up pulling one of the worst cards. It gave everyone a super die for their next roll, guaranteeing everyone would roll high, losing a bunch of time for the run. Normal rolled his and got a 9, Arlene only got a 5, and Odie rolled a 7. I wanted to speed things up, and the next minigame gave me that exact chance. And quick veto, as long as you find all the items before the timer runs out, it'll end early. I couldn't believe my luck. I had spawned in the same room as the glove and the thermometer. I ran down the hallway and bam, got the pills and ended the minigame in only 21 seconds. Going into the last round, everyone rolled low and 2 erasers got used, canceling out the space's effect. The last minigame was revealed, and it was Slice and Dice. This isn't the slowest minigame, but it is 10 seconds longer than normal, so it could have been better. After that, it was over. Curtains rolled, and 30 minutes and 9 seconds was the new world record. Now, don't get me wrong, this was a great improvement from my last time, but I just still didn't feel satisfied. Knowing in my heart that with my time loss, a sub 30 was possible. I would have to average around 3 minutes for each round. It would just take the right RNG to get it. First round flies by. I mashed some buttons to eat some cake. Everyone rolled low, and then we got to play good boy again. Odie rolled a 1, our lead Nermal landed on nothing, I stole Pookies from everyone, and we ended the round in the lead. Odie landed on nothing, and Nermal turned 3 spots into nothing spaces. I was then met with Super Cat. By this time, I had developed a trick to get all 3 NPCs out in one movement. It didn't work every time, but when it did, it worked like a charm. Starting round 5, only 12 minutes and 30 seconds in, we were not on pace to get the sub 30. However, with all this set up, I wanted to try and see this run out. I needed to get lucky, and somehow I did. Getting dog panic for the round 5 minigame, all I had to do was put the controller down and I'd save time. This run was back on track. Round 6, everyone landed on fast spaces and it was flying by. On a great pace, we kept going through round 7. Got another time-based minigame, so I couldn't make it faster. I needed good luck, and that's when something unthinkable happened. I got debuffed so hard, I moved backwards. And yet again, the minigame was time-based. Starting round 9, I was 30 seconds behind the pace for what I needed to break sub 30. If I wanted to do that, I would need to average 2 minutes and 45 seconds for the next 2 rounds. It was completely out of my control. I just needed to get lucky. Things were looking good, but then Nermal decided to reroll his 7 into a 3. I thought it was over. Round 9's minigame could make or break this run, but it was revealed it was dog dodge. This was my shot. I just needed to get hit 3 times and it was over, finishing in only 13 seconds. I started round 9 at exactly 26:59, giving me 3 minutes to beat the next round. I meshed harder than ever before to get through round 10, and the final minigame was roll the ball. This gave me the opportunity I needed. All I had to do was clear the stage of snow. I sped through it as fast as I could, and we finished with a whole 25 seconds to spare. The results were in, the curtains rolled, and I broke sub 30 with a 29:48. I couldn't be happier. I felt like I came so far. I was able to improve the world record of this game by 1 minute and 42 seconds. Feeling happy with what I accomplished, I knew the challenge was not over yet. I needed to do all that, plus more, again for the medium length. On my first run, after the first 10 rounds, I was still on pace to beat the small length's current world record. But in my heart, I knew it could be faster. At round 13, I got the worst minigame there is, Cat's Band. Cat's Band is the only time-based minigame where the timer is set to 104 seconds, making it 44 seconds slower than the typical minigame. After seeing this, I quit. My run already could have been faster. I wasn't willing to take a 44-second loss, knowing it could be better. I tried again. After finishing round 10, I was ahead of my short length world record. In fact, in this run, I would have gotten the world record again if it was short length. During round 14, I took quite a few hits. Nermal decided Odie should reroll, and then Arlene decided to reroll herself, turning her 3 into a 7. First time that's worked out for her. And if it wasn't bad enough, she used a burger, turning it into a 12. And if that wasn't bad enough, Nermal made everyone take a turn moving backwards. And on top of that, the next minigame was time-based, with no way to speed it up. I just lost a good chunk of time and started the next round barely ahead of the 3-minute average. I got unlucky again in round 15 with a time-based minigame, and by the start of round 16, I was seconds behind the pace I wanted. The last minigame was going to start, and this could make or break the run. And unfortunately for me, luck was not on my side. I got Messy Memory, a time-based memorization minigame. The only caveat is, it adds extra time at the start to memorize the board. This added unnecessary time to my run, and I wasn't having it. I opted to go on strike and not play the game. The run was over, and after accidentally resizing my timer, I ended it at 48:41. Taking all 16 rounds into account, my average pace was 3 minutes and 2 seconds per round, only slightly behind where I wanted to be. I decided to view this one as a win, since I wasn't really willing to grind this one again and again until I got it faster. I took what I could get, and hey, would you look at that, still world record. I moved on to the long run, which has 24 rounds, so there are more chances to get longer minigames. I couldn't be too harsh with my pacing for this one. On my first run, at round 16, I was a whole minute behind my 3-minute average. I needed to make up time with some good minigame RNG to keep this run going, but then the opposite of that happened. I got Bulk Pizza, a memorization game that takes 4 rounds to finish. I timed the entire minigame, and it takes 2 minutes and 7 seconds. To make it even worse, I played through the next round and immediately got Cat's Band. So, I threw out this run. Let me break down the RNG real quick. The long run has 24 rounds, and there's 32 minigames. If I wanted to feel good about this run, I would need to avoid the 2 longest ones. The probability of one of those minigames not occurring in round 1 is 30 out of 32, or 93.75%. However, minigames don't repeat, so each round the chances will go up. The probability of one of these 2 minigames not happening after 24 rounds is 5.65%. So, Basically, I have a 1 in 18 chance of being able to finish a run. I tried, and then I tried again, and again, and again. I lost 5-minute runs, I lost 50-minute runs. I got bulk pizza and Cat's Band over and over, to the point where I didn't think it would ever end. I failed 16 different runs. I started to lose runs not only to bad RNG, but to the game breaking. I was hopeless. I never thought the RNG would turn in my favor. I felt doomed to lose run after run. But then I had the run of my life. I had gotten past 20 rounds in under an hour. Knowing this might be it, I locked in until the end of the run. Round 21 was Messy Memory, a minigame slightly longer than a minute, but at this point, I was willing to take anything that wasn't longer than 2. Round 22 was Catfish, a 60-second minigame. Round 23 was Time to Eat, yet another 60-second minigame. There was only 1 round left. The odds the last minigame were going to be Cat's Band or bulk pizza were 2 out of 9. This last round would make or break the run, and it was left up to fate. Somehow it happened. I had avoided the dreadful 2-minute long minigames and the speedrun was finally over. It ended with an hour, 14 minutes, and 47-second run. The average round was 3 minutes and 6 seconds, pretty much on pace for what I had hoped for. I would be genuinely impressed if anyone ever beat this one, because I know that they would have to grind to make that happen. Now I know what you're thinking. Why did I do that? I put all that time into this category with no previous runs. I could have done 1 playthrough and called it quits. Why would I waste countless hours of my life just to get a world record I would have had anyways? And to that, I would say, I don't know, man. With 3 world records under my belt, there was only 1 run left to go, the full playthrough. I would have to go through 32 rounds, playing every single minigame, and I would have to do it all in less than an hour and 42 minutes. With how RNG based these runs are, there would be no way of knowing I was on pace until the run was close to over, as the time estimate could drastically change mid-run. I decided I would complete each run, even if I wasn't going to beat the record, just so I could use that experience for the next run. The first run felt great. It ended with an hour and 43 minutes and 25 seconds. I would need to PB by a full minute to beat the world record. I tried again and only beat my last run by 6 seconds. That's it? I felt so confident going into this, but is there something I'm not doing? Trying for a third time, I took everything I had learned and put it into this run. But that still wasn't enough. As the run came to its final few rounds, I knew I wasn't going to get the world record. Hell, I wasn't even going to beat my previous times. When it was done, my time was over an hour and 44 minutes. I was so devastated, I forgot to stop the timer. I didn't feel great after this run, but I just had to keep going. I needed to get the last world record to prove that a below average player like me can sometimes be above average. I was gaming. I had over 40 hours of speedruns up to this point, and there was nothing else I could do to make it faster on my end. It was all up to RNG. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't have come unprepared. And now with a fresh set of batteries, I went into what could be the final run. After round 1, I was surprised to see the first minigame was bulk pizza. I was happy to get it out of the way, but then shockingly, the second minigame was Cat's Band. It felt like a moment in a movie. The 2 minigames that had tortured me the most were going to be the very beginning of my run, setting me up to be unsure of what my pace would be until the very end. The first time I was able to get a grasp of my pace was at the start of round 23. With 10 rounds left at an hour and 10 minutes. If I kept a good pace, I could finish in the next 30 minutes, securing the world record. Unfortunately, the next minigame was Featherweight, a slightly longer one, taking 80 seconds to complete. I couldn't take any more setbacks if I wanted to stay on pace. I got the chance to make up some time with Roll the Ball, and I got the same opportunity again with Dog Dodge, and again with Quick Veto. With 4 rounds left, I had 13 minutes until I was behind the world record. I needed to keep my pace of 3-minute rounds. With Snowball Effect, I was able to end quickly, staying on my pace. but on Aspiring Artists, I only finished with 6 seconds to spare. It was coming down to the final 2 rounds, with only 6 minutes left, and I immediately lost time to Arlene making me re-roll. Round 31's minigame was Slice and Dice, another slightly longer minigame. I had less than 3 minutes to finish the last round. We went through the turns with no setbacks, but I would still need a fast minigame to get the world record. It all came down to this. The last minigame was a time-based one, taking up 60 seconds I did not have. The curtains rolled, and I had PB'd with 1 hour and 42 minutes and 53 seconds, but it still wasn't a world record. I was broken. There was nothing I could think to do. I wanted to give up this challenge. I was about to, but then I realized something that's been staring me in the face this entire time. You see, I've been speedrunning my games on Xbox, yet everyone that has submitted a run was playing on PC. I've been ignoring that, thinking it didn't matter, but it felt like the only thing left to try. I booted the game up on PC, connected my controller, and played my very first run. Immediately, I could tell it was faster. I didn't struggle to keep a 3-minute round pace. In fact, I finished round 20 at exactly 1 hour, right on pace. I kept it up until I eventually played the longer minigames, but they barely set me back. The curtains rolled, and just like that, I had got the world record by almost 3 minutes. It goes without saying that I was not happy that all I had to do this entire time was play the game on PC. Does that mean that all my previous world records could easily be beaten if they were run on PC? Yeah, it does. Am I going to rerun all these game modes until I beat my previous times? No! I've put in way too much time into this game already. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up if someone takes my record. But until then, I'm satisfied since I'm able to say,